Hello everyone, this is Suresh here. So in this session we will see how to predict visitor purchase with BigQuery ML. So without any delay, let me start the lab. So in this lab, I'm not going to explain any concepts or any theoretical questions. Here only we are going to complete the task provided uh, the Google Lab. So I have started the lab. So let me continue with opening in Cognito mode. Okay, so let me complete the setup, agree and continue. Okay, so our setup is complete. So let's start with the task. So right now you can pause the video and go through the overview of the BigQuery machine learning and some information about the Google Analytics records in the Google Workspace store, and you can see what we will learn. So we are using queries and basic SQL, and we are using the Chrome browser. Okay, setup. This is what we just completed. So setup is successful. So we will continue. So let me open the navigation menu. This is the navigation menu and BigQuery. Okay. So open the BigQuery. Click on done. Now let's continue with the first task. Create a new data set. Okay, this is the project. Let's create new data set and the data set ID PQML underscore lab as they provided, and I will leave the rest of the things as default values. Okay, there are no tags, and also I just opening the advanced options just to show you what are all the options are available, like encryption, table names, default population, default routing mode, building model, and those things. But I'm not going to touch any change any of the things. I will leave it as a default. So let me create data set. So you can see BQML lab has been created. Okay. Now task one is complete. Now let's get into task two. The data will use the lab sits in the BigQuery public data project. Okay, that's fine. Add the query to untitled query box and click on run. So let me copy this query and you can go through what is this query about. So I'm not here to explain what this query, but for your understanding, you can pause the video and go through this. Basically, this query is uh, from the Google analytical samples. It is going to, from the public data, this is going to pull out some data with the where condition, and also it is limiting to 10,000 data set or 10,000 records. So without any delay, I paste it, and okay, here you can see there is some information is provided about the data, and you can say this. So let me run this query. So the query is running. I mean, you can see the query running. Okay, yeah, query running is complete, and you can see about we have in the bottom we can see about 10,000 data. So in the results, you will see the label, OS, mobile, country, and page views. And you can see the job information here. If you want to see some charts available, you can see. Okay. So this is the JSON view, and we have execution details and execution graph. And again, I'm not going to explain everything, each and every part of it. That is not the intention of this uh, lab. Okay, so just to show you how this looks. So you can see there is a graphical representation of the execution part and the time it took at each levels. Okay, coming back to the results, and let me save this query. Let's save this training data. Click on save. Select save view. Project is fine. In the pop-up, select dataset as PKML lab and table name as training data. Click on save. Now replace the query with the following create model. Okay, let me replace this. I copied and replacing this with the create and replace model. And you can see BQML lab dot sample model, and model type is going to be logistic regression, and selecting from the BQML dot training data. Let's see where this training data is available. Now you can see there is a training data available here. So before starting, let's see what is running the create model commands Fourier that will run across synchronously. Yeah. And again, I'm not going to read all these things because I wanted to complete this session as quick as possible for quick reference. So let's run this query. The query is running. You can view it in the query running status. Okay, this way this query will run asynchronously, so we should be good. And for example, close or refresh the BigQuery UI window, the query is going to still run. Okay, HTML lab dataset, that's what we are going to do. And here under the details, we have the details. I'm not sure where to see the training. Okay, sample model. You can see the sample model is got created. Here it is. So successfully created named model. This is the training data we executed and queries got completed. And you can see the job information. It run for about 1 minute 24 seconds and some other information. And results, the model is created, execution details, loss, training iterations is 80, planned was actually 20, right? And duration, you can see the duration for the each iteration 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the loss is came down, so that is the reason, right? It's got stopped. And the learning rate, execution graph is simple execution graphs. Okay, validate the process, train, and evaluate. Okay, this is looking good. So let's get into this model. You can select the sample model from here. And in the sample model, as mentioned, it is a logistic regression. That is the query we gave here. Became, sorry, model type equal to log, correct? Logistic regression. And the data, you can see the information. Maximum allowed is 20, and it took 8, L1, L2, all other details. That's all the training options. And let's look at the training. This is what we saw in the graph, or if you want to table view, similar to this left side. Graphical representation table view, and you can see the training loss has been drastically reduced and mostly like 0.05. So learning rate is 25. You got the info. And you can see the evaluation like metrics, precision recall threshold, precision recall curve, ROC curve. These are all the uh, machine learning terminologies which you have to go through as sessions to understand what this graph means. Okay, and my intention is to not to explain the graphs or go into the technical details, okay, as I mentioned in the initial during the start of this recording. Okay, let's move on. Task 3 is completed, so let's get into this task 4. So now replace the query with the following. We are selecting all, okay, for the evaluation purpose. Okay, so let me replace. Let's click on run. So we got the precision, recall, accuracy, F1, score, log loss, and ROC. Okay. Predicted value signifies the actual data and shares some metrics. That's how the model is performed. You can see the table similar. This is not the exact, but you can see the similar table. Okay. Now let's use the model. Now click on SQL query. Replace this. And you can go through the information here. So I need to create now click SQL query. Okay, no, let me click on the SQL query itself. Okay, I don't want to just change the existing one. May I'll take a new query here. Here I will paste. There is an additional full visitor ID here. Here it is. Okay, and save save view. This is the same BQML lab, and this one will change it to like data. Let's save. They didn't mention me to run, but I'm just checking. Let's go the July data so that you can, okay, let me run this. Okay, we have run, we have about 74,000 K records. Predict the purchases per query. Okay, now with the query, you try to predict this transaction. Select the top 10 purchases from the predicted model. Okay, let me take a query. Let me run this query. Okay, based on the July data, this is giving the information. Okay, based on the previous data and the total predicted purchases. See, there are a lot of information is available here in this lab itself. Okay, and there is another predict purchases per user. The same sample data, you can see the model. We wanted to use the sample data as a predictor and the July data as a data push or the data set. So let's select and this information we already know that in which could be, or else we can create another query. Now you can see the full visitor ID and how many total predicted purchasing power. So basically what we did is like we have created a model in the BigQuery and in that model we have done the analysis of what the purchasing power of the visitor ID. That is what basically we have done. So this concludes the session. So um, I suggest you to go through these technical terms. I didn't discuss anything over here, but if you want, you can go through this session and then try it on your own. Because these queries are already available, you can pause the video and then go ahead and check it out. Thanks for joining. Have a great